A L5 software engineer at Meta can make over $500,000 a year. But how is this possible? How do these tech giants compensate their employees? And why does it make sense for them to pay so much? In this episode of Money Minotaur, we will dive into these topics. In Silicon Valley, there are many types of compensation, and surprisingly, salary can make up less than half. Companies can offer compensation in the form of salary, RSUs, ESPP, stock options, bonuses, and 401k match. We'll dive into each of these individually, but be sure to stay until the end, where I'll share exactly how much the top tech companies are paying. If you find this information useful, please smash that like and subscribe button. Now, starting out with base salary. Although this may not always be the largest form of compensation, it is one of the most important. Raises, cash bonuses, ESPP, and 401k match will all be a percentage of your salary. It is easier to get a high salary when first joining a company than to try to build it over time. Employees that stay at their company typically receive 3 to 5% pay increase. However, when they switch jobs, they receive a 10 to 20% increase. This difference can easily compound if you switch jobs a few times, and is why Forbes claims employees who stay at companies longer than 2 years get paid 50% less. A common type of tech compensation is restricted stock units, RSUs. These are a number of your company's stock that vest over a period of time. The vesting schedule can vary greatly depending on what company you're at. The most common is 25% a year for 4 years. So if you get offered 4,000 stock units that vest over 4 years, you'll get 1,000 per year. You won't see the full amount though, because the company will sell a portion of the vested stock to pay for taxes prior to depositing them in your brokerage. Although a 4-year equal vesting schedule is the most common, some companies will weigh the vesting more heavily towards the later years, like Amazon. There you'll get 5% the first year, 15% in the second, and 40% the remaining 2 years. Weighing the stock more heavily towards later years incentivizes people to stay at their company longer and saves the company money. The average Amazon employee only stays around 2 years. In the previous example, the first company with an equal vesting schedule would have to pay 2,000 stock in RSUs, while Amazon would only need to pay 800. RSUs are not a guaranteed value. If the stock goes up, you get paid more money, and if they go down, less. If your company's stock is something that you wouldn't choose to buy, then you shouldn't hold on to it once it vests. Fortunes can be made or lost by holding on to tech stock for too long. $100K in Facebook stock 10 years ago would be worth $726,000 today, while the $100,000 in GoPro stock would only be worth $4,000. Talking about company stock, we'll jump to the next stock-related compensation, ESPP, Employee Stock Purchase Plan. This is less common than RSUs, with 49% of the S&P 500 companies offering it. ESPP is a company-run program that allows employees to purchase stock at a discounted price. The employee will usually be allowed to contribute somewhere between 10 to 20% of their salary to the program. During the 6 to 12-month offering period, the selected contribution amount will be withdrawn from your paycheck. Once the offering period is over, the money withdrawn will be used to purchase the company stock at a 5 to 15% discount. The discounted price is applied to a look-back window, meaning that you purchase the shares for the price at their enrollment date or purchase date, whichever is less. Additionally, the amount that can be contributed to a tax-qualified ESPP is limited by the IRS to $25,000 a year. Tax-qualified allows the discount that was received in purchasing the stock to be deferred until the shares are sold. ESPP is a bit confusing, so let's run through an example. You make $200,000 a year, and your company has a 1-year tax-qualified ESPP plan, which offers a 15% discount, and you contribute 11% of your salary to it. The 11% contribution means that you're putting in $22,000 annually into the plan. If desired, the percent withdrawn can be reduced over time, but not increased. The starting share price is $10. This is what will be used to calculate the $25,000 annual IRS limit. $25,000 would allow for 2,500 shares to be purchased for $10 apiece. This will be the most shares that you are allowed to purchase in a year. The IRS calculation doesn't consider the discounted price that you get the stock for, so we'll always just consider the starting value. Let's assume that after a year has passed, the stock has increased to $15. The ESPP would look for the lower of the starting or ending price, which would be $10. You'd then get 15% off this price, so each share would cost you $8.50. You'd receive 2,500 shares for the $8.50, which comes to $21,250. Since you contributed $22,000, the remaining amount not used to purchase shares, $750, would just be returned to you. If you then immediately sold the stock, you'd get $37,500 for them, making a 76% profit. Not too shabby. This is an extremely good scenario. But even if the stock falls in price, you will still be guaranteed an 18% return on the shares purchased, as long as you sell the stocks immediately. The last thing to note is that in addition to all the other restrictions, your company may also limit the max number of shares that can be purchased. You should always max out the ESPP, IRS, or company allowable contribution because it's a guaranteed very high return. The last stock compensation, and arguably the most interesting, is stock options. These are typically issued by a startup or fast-growing company to incentivize employees. As a result, some of the most insane rags-to-riches stories come from stock options. One such story occurred in 1999 when Bonnie Brown was hired by Google as a part-time masseuse. At the time, Google was an early startup and had only 40 employees. They offered her a measly $450 a week and some stock options. 5 years later, she cashed out her stock options and still holds most of the stock today, making her a multimillionaire. EOS, employee stock options, provide the employee an option to purchase a stock at a specified price. Typically, when the stock options are issued, that will be the strike price. This is the amount that you'll be able to buy the stock for. Like RSUs, the stock options will have a vesting schedule, so you'll get a percentage of them each year. Additionally, they will have an expiration date, which will be the last time you can exercise them. Once vested, you can exercise the options and purchase the stock at the strike price. For example, let's say that you have 100,000 stock options vested. The original stock price was $5, and the current stock price is $10. You then exercise the stock options. This means that you pay $500,000 for the 100,000 stock options and can sell them for $1 million or hold on to them. If you don't have the cash available to exercise the stock options, you can have the brokerage exercise and sell. This lets you use the profits of the sale to cover the cost of exercising them. Employee stock options only have value if the stock has gone up from the strike price. Very similar to stock options are SARs, stock appreciation rights. The only difference for SARs is you don't have to pay to exercise them. Probably the least exciting and most often overlooked compensation is 401k match. This is where you contribute to your 401k and your company will match some percentage of it up to a specified amount. A typical 401k match will be 50% match for up to 4% of your salary. Since the company match is tied to a percentage of your salary, the more you make, the more they'll match. If you make $100,000 and contribute 8%, $8,000 to your 401k, then the company will match 50% of that, or $4,000. Per 2024 IRS guidelines, you can contribute up to $23,000 to your 401k. The IRS contribution limit does not include your company's contribution, so a $23,000 contribution by yourself and $4,000 contribution by your company is acceptable. To further complicate things, if you contribute to a Roth 401k, then your contribution will be after tax. However, your employee's match will contribute to a separately pre-taxed account. This can lead to a lot of confusion when trying to combine multiple 401ks. Lastly, there are bonuses. There are two types of bonuses, a sign-in bonus and performance bonus. Signing bonuses are cash you get for joining a company. This incentivizes you to switch jobs and creates golden handcuffs. The bonus will come with some stipulation that if you leave the company within a year or two of joining it, you need to pay back the full amount. To make it worse, when you receive the bonus, it will be post-tax. But if you leave, you have to pay the full amount back, putting you in a deficit, hence the term golden handcuffs. The second type of bonus is performance-based. These are usually given out once a year and will be based off how well you performed as an individual and how well your company or team performed. At big tech companies, individual bonuses are given based off your performance review scores. As an IC, individual contributor, you are usually judged on a combination of 3 metrics: project impact, innovation, and collaboration. There'll be a very thorough review cycle where peers and managers will judge how you performed in each pillar. This is a complicated process, so we'll save the specifics for another video. Now, as promised, here's a super secret, not so secret tool to help you find out what top companies are paying engineers. Levels FYI. This website is free and will allow you to compare levels and compensation from different companies. It is an incredible resource to use when searching for new companies or trying to get fair compensation at the one you're at. I'll leave you with this last note. Know your worth. Know the difference between what you're getting and what you deserve. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Money Minotaur. This is my very first financial YouTube video. If it does well, I'll make others. Otherwise, it might be the only one. Please like and subscribe if you'd like to see more like this one. I'll also do my best to respond to the comments, so feel free to go ham in the comment section below.